T-minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Hello, everybody. Oh, I beat you to it, huh?
Yeah,
Do you want to take it? Go ahead.
No,
Hello, everybody.
I was actually, yeah, you go.
No, it's okay. You can have it.
Well, I was about to say
Harry.
Hermes and Herdes. Hermes and Hades. It's the whiskey. Hermes and Hades back again. I actually had a fireball shot before this too. Before I came. Actually, I'm not gonna blame alcohol. I'm just Hermes chilling with Hades on this fine Tuesday afternoon.
Yeah, we're here on Tuesday.
Sipping this amazing, glorious whiskey.
What are you doing
hot
pre-gaming before the podcast? Do you have a death wish?
I just give less of a fuck with this moon in Gemini. I feel truly amazing, truly raw.
I saw a post today that said the moon's in Gemini. The moon's in Gemini, the moon's in Gemini, the moon's in Gemini, the moon's in Gemini. I was like, oh fuck. I could tell. I can always tell when that shift happens.
I talk to myself all the time incessantly, but when the moon's in Gemini, it's just right. Like the shit I talk is just...
Also, it's in aspects right now to like Saturn and Mars and stuff. So it's got like a little bit of a different flavor. Now, finally, as we're filming this, it's actually early April. We're a couple weeks ahead of you guys. But yeah, it's nice to kind of be out of that shit show of what was the last week. All the conjunctions with Mars and Saturn, and yeah, I'm kind of glad that that's over, to be honest with you. I've had enough.
In retrospect, it does feel a lot freer now that you mention it. Yeah. And you know what? I think a lot of it was because of the drama last week too, and just, you know.
Oh, the slap heard around the world?
Yeah. One thing I love about these events more than ever is that it just highlights how so many of us as a collective, I'm not going to speak for everyone, but how so many people as a collective really just don't have anything better to do but to just live vicariously through like these events that if we were to be serious with ourselves, I don't think anyone really cares about it, but it's just like something to actually like talk about and like care about. And I don't mind because the internet is undefeated, and like the memes alone that come from these.
The memes are worth it.
It's just like, wow.
The one you sent me that was like about like the drama between Kim and Kanye, and then the drama between Putin and what's his name, and you were like
Zelensky.
Yeah, you were like, oh, like Libra is the shit disturber, they're the common denominator.
Yeah,
and I like
Will and Jada, Zelensky and Putin, Kanye and Kim. Yeah.
I mean, I just sat there, being a Libra rising, I just fucking cackled my balls off because I was like, there it is.
Yep. I call them the chaos angels. They show up, they create chaos, and they show up and then make peace, and everyone's like, Libra, we love you, but they're like, ha ha ha.
It's just our whole MO, just to stir the pot and serve the tea, basically.
Yeah, I heard Libra risings are attracted to chaos because they gotta balance it. Like y'all.
Yeah, it's because our 7th house is Aries. It's fucked.
That Uranus transit for y'all must have been crazy. It's attracting a lot of. Actually, I don't think the 8th house transit is any different. If anything,
no, it's not. So far, no, it hasn't been much different. But I mean, it's still 7th house for my son, so I'm getting it both ways.
Double whammy.
The Uranus 7th house transit, especially on my moon, that was eventful. I mean, we started working together because of that transit, so that's kind of cool.
That's
but yeah,
I met through Aries.
I had lots of like work husbands through those transits.
Weird. Okay, that's what's up. Yeah, that's what they do.
So you want to talk about Taurus season? We're here to talk to you guys about Taurus season. We already kind of gave you a little bit of like an extra something. You guys got that eclipse video that we did in Taurus. Hopefully you liked it. And we might touch on that a little bit later in the transits. But really, let's get into it and talk about what's going to be happening really from like the 3rd week of April, around the 20th, when the sun's ingress is taking place, through the rest of Taurus season. So it'll be about 20-something or odd days. In the midst of this season, we will have that eclipse on the 30th. We will also have a sister eclipse that is going to be then on the 15th of May. So we'll probably do a separate segment for that, actually. Yeah, we'll do
Sister
separate.
eclipse?
Yeah, that'll be the full moon eclipse in Scorpio.
Yeah.
Yeah, the lunar eclipse. Yeah, that one's a doozy. That one needs a whole episode in itself. So maybe this will be kind of like the intro to that. Oh, also one other thing. I'm like out of it. Before we get into this, I had to just bring up the fact that Kanye is a crazy fucking piece of shit. Because my favorite thing to do is talk to you about Kanye. And like, what happened? Why did he pull out of like Coachella?
First of all, I don't know what people think that Coachella even deserves Kanye.
I saw that and I was reading the headlines like Kanye dips out at Coachella 2 weeks, and then there's all these other people offering to replace him, and I was like, what's going on with Kanye?
We know what's happened. Billie Eilish never apologized to Travis Scott. Y'all thought he was joking, and Billie Eilish, this is your fault. You thought you could sneak this, Trav, and you got called out for it.
I'm still behind on what's going on. What did she do? What did she have to do with anything?
Oh, okay, so Billie Eilish sneaked this. Billie Eilish sneaked this Travis Scott the way Aquarians sneak this Taurus.
Okay.
So basically, technically, Billie Eilish didn't ever say Travis's name. Technically, Billie Eilish didn't really diss Travis, but she threw shade on this young fine man, okay? And basically was in a concert talking about, okay, I'm not gonna lie, cause like, I have Aquarius in my MC, so I look up to Aquarius, but I'm Team Ye, so I understand why, as you know, the fine young gentleman that this legend is, he had to call it out. I think that was very real of him. But Billie Eilish was basically on stage, and I'm not a stan, but Billie Eilish was basically on stage talking about, oh, wait, hold on. Let's make sure the crowd is okay. I actually care if the crowd is okay.
Oh, I heard about this. Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, technically...
So basically poking fun at what happened with Travis Scott, how he handled it.
I would say she's poking fun, because she's within her right to do that, like, if she wants to care. But, I mean, clearly she was throwing shade at this fine.
So what does that have to do with Kanye?
Because Kanye West took it to himself to be like, listen, you're not going to throw shade on my friend Travis Scott, who looked out for me when I wanted to go see my daughter's birthday. Remember Travis came through with Kylie. And so, you know, Kanye returned the favor, like, listen, my friend, like, you're not going to call out Travis. And Billie Eilish played...
Yeah, but you're going to do that okay, all right.
And he said, listen, I'm not going to perform at Coachella unless we get an apology. And Billie Eilish is stubborn as Taurus. Aquarius, like, look, I'm not going to fucking apologize. I'm straight G. Like, I didn't even diss this man.
This is like the stereotypical Saturn Uranus Aquarius.
Yes, it is.
Literally this year. It's literal.
And his Saturn and Leo is opposite her sun. So
it's like that.
He had to put her in check.
Nasty little fucking T-square.
You know what I'm saying? I guess it wasn't his beef to step into, but no one wants to talk about how Kanye and Kim played you all. No one wants to talk about how they made a fortune.
Yeah.
Like, they're seen together with their kids. You know what I'm saying? Like, not saying that their turbulence isn't there, because that's
how
co-parenting,
Libras
right?
do.
Right, and then
kids are an accessary if you're a Libra.
And there's nothing to suggest that they ever hated each other, but let's just put the facts together. They sensationalize, like they didn't. The media sensationalized their drama, and Kanye sold $2.2 million the first day.
Mind.
And y'all stay saying he lost his mind.
Wait till Mars retrograde.
And then Kim also finessed the bag, and now they're both masterminding their next plot. Will and Jada got your attention. Kim and Kanye will be back. That's my favorite couple right now, by the way. That's my favorite couple. But it is what it is.
Yeah, I don't think Pete Davidson can hang with her crazy ass for very long. Scorpio can take a lot, but Scorpio men...
His Saturn is opposite their composite sun.
Oh yeah, we looked at it.
So that's why it's set up as an enemy of their relationship. Well, it's interesting though.
Fuck.
I love it. I'm here for the tea. I'm here for the drama. And I mean, let's shout out to Joyner Lucas, whose new song "Yay Not Crazy." You know what I'm saying?
I'm not saying he's crazy. I just think that he's gonna be institutionalized or start a cult come the end of this year. That's what I think is gonna happen. That's what's coming.
Another cult?
No, I just think it's going to go like deeper because Mars will go retrograde in his 12th house over his sun. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, I think it's going to like be a thing.
We know that Jupiter Sag is when he changed his faith through the change of beliefs, and I feel like every every Jupiter mutable sign,
Yeah.
he goes through a new era. We get a new era of Yeezy. So we're on the precipice of the new era of Ye. Like we haven't gotten a lot of like Kumbaya or Christian Ye. So I think we're
what about
stepping
some
into.
gospel yay?
That's what I'm saying. Like it's
Yeah.
still there, but like I think we're gonna get an evolution of that, like an integration of how he like.
I wonder if he's just gonna start wearing like cult priest capes and things.
I just need Elon Musk
robes.
to launch his social media platform so I can
He's
use
like working
Trump's
for
and
Twitter
Elon's.
now.
He owns like what,
He's gonna go and work
9.6%?
for Twitter.
Oh, word.
Yeah, I heard he's like people are like pulling him and he's gonna go and work for. I don't know how. I don't know in what capacity, but he's gonna be working with and for Twitter. So.
Hopefully he just somehow gets ownership of it just to delete it on some gangster shit.
I mean, I think it's funny that they're bringing him in, considering the fact that he's like the Twitter shit lord.
I honestly didn't even know he was with the shits like that. I didn't know he was like that. I was
he'll
like,
post some shit.
he'll respond. He'll clap
Yeah.
back with the fervor.
Yeah. He's a
I like
Cancer,
that.
and he's
Yeah.
like-
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Shit.
snappy.
Him and 50 Cent. They still got it. It's interesting.
I mean, 75 cent.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
Hey, I can make those jokes. There's nothing wrong with being a little thick.
Nah.
Welcome to Taurus season.
Oh my god.
It's healthy. I just want to preface this conversation by saying somebody who has fixed nodes and a lot of Scorpio in my chart,
Yeah.
I'm coming for blood in Taurus season. I'm wholeheartedly expecting it to be like,
That's her open enemy's house.
yeah, I know that Taurus season is gonna, yeah, you mess with the bull, you get the horns.
Oh yeah.
So
I'm glad you're open with that. 'cause
I know
anyone
that
can
it's
get it.
gonna start some shit. But the Pluto and Scorpio generation in general.
Yes,
In
we need to
general,
highlight this.
This is
like,
not necessarily like,
This
oh,
is our coming of
Scorpio is
age.
playing
It's
the
not just a Saturn
victim.
return.
It's just, yeah, if you have any, obviously, same thing as what happened during Aquarius season. If you have any fixed placements, so, you know, Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, Aquarius, you're gonna fucking feel the heat. Like, welcome to the Thunderdome. But really, really, those of you guys who have Scorpio and those of you guys who have Leo in your chart, best believe like stuff is changing big time this season, because
at your expense.
you got 2 eclipses, we've
Right,
got
fine.
squares to Saturn. I mean, this is when physical shift happens. Like, shift hits the fan across the board. That's my kind of takeaway having looked at this. Thankfully, Taurus season is starting as Venus in Pisces is coming, you know, close into conjunction with Neptune and Jupiter. So that's super sweet. Obviously, we've talked a little bit about the Jupiter-Neptune conjunction. It's one of the bigger transits this year. But what's your take on the fact that we are seeing Venus coming into that conjunction?
In messy ass Pisces. First of all, I definitely want to say, I know as a man I'm not supposed to be giving into these sayings, but I will say yes. Yes, bitch. Or yes.
You gotta relax the throat a little bit.
Yes, bitch. I will take that one. I don't care how that looks. I don't care. I'm not. You won't see me. I won't say it's given this or not. It's then for me. Like, I like that one, but I say it as a man. I get weird looks, so I'm not gonna say it. But I will say yes, bitch. I like that one a lot. So yeah, Taurus season to me is the real Aries season this year. I feel like this is the first season for real. Aries is just coming out of this messy ass fog. So I think love is gonna be messy. I think romance is gonna be messy. I think people are gonna get a newfound courage. There we go. I'm getting that image of like Paul Blart the mall cop in that Hitch movie. And Hitch was giving him advice, but he still didn't get it. He still wasn't like mastered yet, but he still got the girl. He didn't take Hitch's advice fully, but he still made his dream come true.
Right.
Him. And like, he was sloppy. You know what I'm saying? I feel like this is going to be people unaware
But
of
is
how
it
sloppy
though?
they are,
Because
but
on one hand, it could be like messy and like kind of weird, stalkerish, like totally throwing all.
I know we have a restraining order, but
Yeah, I mean, like, it can be messy in that sense, but I mean, having Venus in an exalted sign in
Oh, yeah.
close proximity to Neptune
With
is
Jupiter, oh my God.
very poetic, and anything Jupiter touches is going to expand. I think the creative people will get more creative. The spiritual nuts will get more crazy.
Yeah.
The religious nuts will get more crazy. We're just going to see like this kind of like dissolving of boundaries between ourselves and other people, which also makes me think a lot about like, oh, there's about to be a huge wave of like a new pharmaceutical push coming, probably like, you know, stuff that's
new music wave too.
Yeah, music, art, culture.
That'll probably push the pharmaceutical agendas.
I think that it's going to be like big pharma getting in on what's going to be psychedelic therapy.
Okay.
And I also
smart
think
drugs
it's going to be about this huge push
decriminalization and all that.
Yeah.
That's what's up.
Yeah, but that, and also to get a lot of people on board with these like artificial realities and like these digital art galleries and all of these like exhibits and things that you wear with goggles and like
It's
seeing.
official. Spirit and Air is sold for like $13,000. You heard about that?
What was that?
It was this special NFT or like art project of just literal air. Spirit and Air that sold for like $13,000 or $17,000.
Shit.
Yeah. But let me rephrase what I was going to say. What I feel about this Pisces energy too is that the dream will come true. And so there's like expectation versus reality. So like people are going in and to just those two people, it's a romantic movie scene. Like, I love you, baby. Like, you're the most amazing thing ever to happen to me. And it's like, oh my God, like, we're finally in love. But to anyone watching out, it's just super sloppy, like, blah, 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 blah.
Like drunks that are making out instead of an R.
But it looks,
like, to them, it seems like the Mariah Carey look.
Yes.
But to everybody else, there's like vomit all over them, and they like smell like bar food and like booze.
What's that dog movie with the
what?
with the spaghetti
like
and
smelling salt? Oh, Lady in the Tramp.
Lady in the Tramp. There you go. Yeah, it's gonna be like that, but it's just gonna be. It's gonna be. It's gonna be beautiful. Love
it'll
is a
be beautiful,
thing.
especially if you have like really prominent like water placement, like within probably 15 to 29 degrees of all the water signs, especially Pisces. But I mean, on the flip side, it's trining the South Node, so that does tell me that like through art, there's therapy, through possibly new innovations in psychology or spirituality, there's healing. And it is getting some stability with the sextiles to Taurus. Like we have to do the work in Pisces to benefit from the sextile to the planets in the North Node. I mean, the planets in Taurus. So it's like you go to therapy so you actually can course correct issues with disassociation and like be present and be in your body, right? It's like you go to the art therapist so that way you feel more comfortable when it comes to like your love and your intimacy, or you finally deal with the spiraling issues that you have that might be psychological, that's impacting how you're spending or how you're eating, right?
And to speak of dissolvement too, real quick. Like, one thing, and let me know what you feel about this. I think now more than ever, trans issues, identity politics, and not so much LGBTQ, but like trans issues. And as far as like what it means to harness an identity, I think we're gonna see this come at a head where like everything that's occurred so far is going to really enable everyone in the collective to share more how they feel versus what narrative has been forced on people, especially with the controversy in sports. And I think this is going to be, there's so much negative connotation and backlash with this. I think this is going to be one of those rare instances where said trans community probably comes into so much. I think the trans community is going to come into a new light because we might see real voices highlighted as far, and I want to be careful how I say this because I think there's certain trans and like, LGBT people who feel like they're being used by the movement and narrative, and that their voices aren't really highlighted as much as their struggle is being used
for a separate agenda.
Exactly.
I mean, the same thing happened with Black Lives Matter. Exactly. I mean, I think it's fair to say that, or the Women's March, or the Me Too movement.
Basically,
I mean, there's definitely something going on where there is this hysteria that can come up when you have a lot of planets in the late degrees of Pisces, and especially when Neptune and Venus are there, it can be about women's health. It can be about mental health. It can be about.
I'm glad you brought up all those like collective, because I'm using trans as an example because it's the most controversial one, but we're gonna see all these fringe groups and all these groups and major groups where now we're seeing more real voices highlighted with the Uranus and Taurus. Like, this is what the narrative is saying, but this is what we're really going through. You know what I mean? And it's gonna really change the way we look at all these things. And I think it's gonna, with that Chiron Aries, start to bridge together a lot of miscommunication between people who disagree on that.
That's a good way to put it. I mean, Chiron is the bridge.
Yeah.
Right? And so it can be bridging individuals to others, to other people who have also felt singled out or don't feel like they've been acknowledged or represented fairly. But, you know, I guess also something that's just so interesting is like when you're looking at Taurus, it does deal with Venus type topics, especially when I think of like Venus in relation to Taurus is what is feminine, the physique of a woman, right? And what it means to be feminine and whether that entails actually having, you know, feminine genitalia or not.
Or sex organs, yeah.
So, you know, that's interesting with Uranus being in Taurus, and it's in this square with Saturn where it's like literally what organized groups or literal politicians or political leaders are determining what you can and cannot claim within your body. Whether that's like your rights to your body, to your reproductive organs, to what you can say. Fun fact, Taurus does not just rule the throat, it also rules the cervix. Did you know that?
No, I didn't. Wow.
Yeah, and also like the fallopian tubes.
Holy shit.
So when you think about women's reproductive rights and you also think about their voice, it's not just like, oh, my vagina.
Did you send me that vasectomy video early today?
Yes, I did. That was me.
Oh my God, that was amazing.
I have to. You have baby fever. Mike's always sending me videos on babies.
Oh
Guys, we have a problem here. Mike's
That's
going to be somebody's baby
crazy.
daddy. I had to shut it down.
It's true. I'm a progressed cancer son right now in my whole body. But it's all good though. I'm gonna make sure we get the right
Wrap it up, dog.
Get the right mother for the job. You know I got Mars and Aries. That's just raw all the way. This is it. That's why I'm selective now. Like, if I have sex with you, it's because I'm going raw. And if you get pregnant, I want to at least be like, okay, if I get this woman pregnant, am I cool? That's how I'm thinking about it now. Like, if I get her pregnant, am I cool with that? If not, I'm not going to have sex with you.
Can I look at these genetics for the rest of my life? That's the Taurus in you. Can I work with these genetics?
Yeah, that's legit. Yeah, that's definitely true.
I mean, something's gonna come of it. I know that. I can see it with this with the squares. I guess what really piques my interest as we kind of go through this season is that Mercury will touch on the North Node.
Yeah. It's gonna retrograde this season, huh? Or the end of the season.
Yeah, it'll retrograde from Gemini to the eclipse point from November, actually.
Damn.
So that's, I mean, a time to watch, obviously important conversations, insight, things like that. But I'm imagining that April 23rd and 24th, with the moon going into Aquarius, conjuncting Saturn, coming into a hard angle, also with, Uranus and Mercury and the North Node in Taurus, there's this sense of like responsibility and sobriety and like having to make some difficult decisions when it comes to our goals or commitments to our friends or our purpose to move further into that Taurus realm, like holy stellium in Taurus, Sun, Uranus, Mercury, North Node, and it's all in friction. So we really want to watch actually during Taurus season when the moon goes through Aquarius, when the moon goes through Leo, when the moon goes through Scorpio, because I've been tracking these transits, and when the fixed cross sets up, it's a lot. It's a lot of like, it's like a four-way stop, right? When you're dealing with a square. Yeah. Not all cars can go at once. There's a sequence of like having something kind of break down, change, you let something go, you integrate something new, and then you move to the next house. So Taurus is embodiment. So it's, well, what do we physically have? What are our physical values? How much money do we have? How much food do we have? How are we feeling in our skin? Do we have enough art, beauty, security?
I love that you said that because I thought the AC was embodiment, but the AC is just your physical appearance.
Think of that. I think of that as like your front door to
your
your natal chart.
personification.
Yeah, your personification.
But Taurus is embodied.
Yeah, or second house. But yeah,
That's
Taurus.
dope.
I mean,
so embodiment is not personification.
No.
I needed to know that. That's
it's
really
more physical. Personification,
More
I see, is more
physical,
air.
Right. Oh, okay. Personification more air. Right.
Yeah.
Right. I love that. And okay, so two things, because the Mercury sextile to Venus in that Pisces stellium is now taking your individual thought process and it's having you identify your value relative to you being in this like Pisces collective party.
Yeah.
This shared belief. How are you manifesting this embodiment, right? And then I love what you said about the fixed signs, because the moon going to the fixed signs is stocking up on energy. It's taking the cardinal power and it's generating it. So once it goes down the gauntlet from Aquarius to Taurus, it's that collective knowledge grounding individually, then we express it socially, and then it transforms through Scorpio. So think about what she said regarding that, because the nodes will intensify every time.
I mean, for me, and I'm just like an astrology psycho, but for those of you guys who are looking at the transits that are going to start up during Leo and Scorpio season, you can get a very small 48-hour sneak peek every time the moon the moon goes through Scorpio or Leo, because it's going to ding Saturn. It's also going to ding the South Node. It's also going to ding Taurus. So I've been doing this, watching this, noticing like, okay, in this 48-hour period, I'm going to take a step back. I'm going to see what's uncomfortable, what's not working, where there's breakdown. And like, not a lot of people realize the nodes aren't purely just where we're coming from and where we're going. The nodes also relate to karmic fluctuations and changes, how we are emotionally relating to the past versus the future. Remember, it's based off of degree points connected to the ecliptic of the sun and the moon.
The shadow of the moon, right?
Yeah.
Right.
So in a way,
which is wild.
It's setting up things to basically have us go every, it goes into a fixed sign every 3.5, 4 days? No, what am I saying? Every
moon,
7 days?
Every 7 days,
So every 7 days, it's like we're going to feel that build up. And the only reason why I'm bringing this up now is you're going to feel it more in Taurus season, because we have so many planets that are going to be in Taurus. So when we see squares from Leo to Taurus, it's, am I standing in what makes my heart happy? Am I creative? Am I loving this? I think maybe just speaking for myself and how it's affected me and like a lot of my clients is I just keep hearing over and over, like, I don't know if this feels good, I don't know, is it worth this anymore? Am I enjoying what I'm doing? Is it benefiting more than just a paycheck? And I think that that's also a very Taurus kind of topic. That's like, building, a good life does not always equate to, like really living life. Like just because you're making money doesn't mean you have a good life. So people are going to start kind of evaluating this. They're going to start to kind of feel where there's some uncomfortable stuff coming up, where their values are changing. And while the sextile from Pisces placements to Taurus can be very much meditating, visualizing, manifesting, and allowing our dreams to kind of build, it could just as easily be, holy shit, I no longer value this Louis Vuitton bag anymore, so therefore I'm going to sell it. Or I no longer put this huge emphasis on needing to have lots of clothes, or needing to have designer brands, or needing to even express myself or wear, certain colors or makeup. And then that shift back into Pisces could be, okay, well, I'm going to reimagine what my aesthetic could be or how I could make money. So we're still in this kind of sensitive period between all the conjunctions to Neptune, which can dissolve things that are illusions. They're not real. If we are in love with the idea of love, but not actually practicing it and embodying that in our day-to-day solid third dimensional interactions, a lot of people are going to spiral the fuck out. Right?
Yeah, that's so true. And I like that, because a lot of what you're saying is a much faster causality between that embodiment or lack of embodiment and how it manifests in your reality.
Yeah.
With Uranus here, and just to kind of revisit, this is the new Aries season. Not forever, but I feel like for this year, Aries season has so much aqua Pisces, even though Taurus is starting with Pisces. I feel like it's going to feel like the start of the new year, this Taurus. And this is the promised land. Aries season to me feels like we're walking out of a portal through a battlefield. and you're fighting to maintain this authenticity. So this Taurus season, we're going to take stock. We're going to be able to rest. We're manifesting and embodying our true selves. And I think there's so much breakthrough that for so many of you will feel like with all this 11th house Pisces stellium, so many of your dreams are coming true. So much of what you've always wanted is coming into fruition. It's not fully manifested, but it's the beginning of stepping into this. It's like, wow, I like where this is going. And it's going to give you that opportunity to come into very fast returns too, or sow seeds for investments. So that's,
but I think that, you know, being that Uranus is in the mix, and also being the fact that we have eclipses on the axis of Scorpio and Taurus, I guess the one way that I can really sum it up is that in order for you to really manifest the life that you want, you need to be willing to sacrifice everything that you've had up until this point.
That's so real.
Right?
Oh my God,
like
yeah.
there's a lot of sacrifice, and you'll see that with the second eclipse. But the first eclipse it's a little bit sweeter. We'll look at it. We talked about it already because of the conjunction with Neptune and Jupiter and Venus. But when I say sacrifice, that's more the aspects to the eclipse in Scorpio. That's the square to Saturn. Remember that Saturn in traditional astrology was like Pluto. It was the last stop. So it was seen as death, endings, letting go, releasing, you know, dealing with old problems and karmic kind of hang-ups. So I think that while the end of April is very sweet, and that transit kind of setting up around the eclipse of this is what I value, this is what I want, I'm manifesting this, 2 weeks later it's like somebody hit the lights or slammed on the brakes, and then we realize in order to facilitate that, we actually have to give something up, right? We have to be willing to...
The old version of yourself.
Yeah, or an old, outdated way of looking at resources, or learning not to rely so much on debt, or learning not to rely on our parents for money, learning not to just assume that there is just excess that's coming in from the government, or that, you know, we can just keep on just bringing stuff in, thinking that things are going to give us security, when in reality, a lot of people hopefully are going to wake up and realize that we're in a rat race that's been created where we're just told to just buy, consume, bring in more, use sex, use drugs, use alcohol. This is just stuff that's just going to make you feel good. And when people decide to break out of that cycle, it can be uncomfortable because you're almost going to have to practice minimalism. But you can get back to basics, and it's like, well, you might not have all the money or all the things, but you can go and put your feet in the dirt and smell flowers and also feel good in your body and feel like you can connect with nature. So it's definitely bringing up this split in society, I think, you know?
Or if anything, climaxing that split.
Yeah.
And making it more prevalent, notable. And on top of that, you know, I was thinking about how if you were born in 1991 and 92, but mainly 91.
The Saturn square Pluto.
I didn't even that.
Yeah.
Oh, y'all are so screwed. Like, I've been feeling so bad for
I did a
Saturn
video
Aqua.
for that. I did a video for
I feel
all
like
the
we got the
Saturn
short
and
end of the
Aquarius.
stick. We got Saturn Cap and
Yeah.
Saturn Pisces. I feel like we're lit.
Yeah, but it's been like a fucking 6-year Saturn return. Yeah.
You have to wait till the end of Saturn Aqua for us to
Yeah.
complete. It's fucking
Yeah,
retarded.
I'm so over it. I was so stoked to think
Seriously.
it was over, and then I realized the last 2 years I've still been in it. I'm like,
straight up.
okay.
But then also, you know, concerning that, if you were born 91, you have Uranus on the North Node in Capricorn. So that's trining you. And I think the next time that happened was North Node Uranus Pisces. So what do you feel about that? And what happened then versus now? Because 91 is pivotal, and I guess
I mean,
20 years from
it's
then.
definitely not easy because they're dealing with the Saturn square Pluto, but
Right.
being
Yeah.
I mean, I'm coming out of
That's
now
gangster.
having had Uranus trine my natal Saturn Neptune.
Yeah.
And that's been eventful, but it's been eye-opening. I think that
It's helped automate.
you know, to have the Uranus trine the North Node and Uranus at the same time is really giving them the okay to like upend and like
fully
let
be
go
themselves,
of
yeah.
grief or let go of guilt, because that definitely kind of comes with the Capricorn kingdom.
Yeah.
And be willing to reinvent themselves. I mean, these are people who are going to adapt and do better working remotely, working with new businesses, with cryptocurrencies, with Uranian type things, and like being entrepreneurs and like being different. Like in a way, although the pandemic has been a fucking nightmare for some people, it's really given them the push that they need to like get on with something that is their natural talent. Like Capricorn's here to build. So if you do happen to have North Node Uranus conjunction and you have Saturn in Aquarius, there is mutual reception there. So they're not, I mean, yeah, okay, it's a semi-sextile if you really want to get down to it, but you've got Saturn in a Uranian sign, and you've got Uranus in a Saturn sign, which means they are having a conversation with each other that's like, you can either do it when Saturn conjuncted your North Node when the world was ending, or you can do it now and look at it as, wow, that was the best thing that ever happened, because now I can innovate and actually go and build from this. So...
And on top of the whole apocalypse, or a lot of questions I've been receiving is, well, we've established we're in the apocalypse cycle. Does that mean the world's going to end in 6 years? And you have to remember, this is a cycle. So the whole process of the end of the world, where there are billions of people, is not going to take a decade. It's not going to take 2 decades. This is going to be a series of successive cycles that, given Saturn, that's 30 years, and Pluto, that's 248 years, we're going to see this apocalypse cycle take place throughout the next 17 to 30 years. So Mars, War, is the only planet that comes around at least 2 years.
Yeah.
And Jupiter that comes around 12 years. So
yeah, the Mars-Jupiter conjunction that's coming.
In Taurus?
There is one coming in Aries in June.
Yes!
Yeah,
it's going to be a Mars return of a lifetime. I can't wait. And personally, I feel like concerning that, as far as my predictions, I feel like the true end is going to be Pluto out of Pisces. So this is still like a good 20, 30 years. We're just starting to see the beginning of the end of everything. But it's not going to all happen. It will, but there's still so much more phases.
Well, there's a lot coming out too. I mean, I think that one thing I would just say, just food for thought to take into consideration, is while all of these conjunctions are happening in Pisces, it's distractions. So while, Will Smith was slapping Chris Rock, many of you guys weren't watching what was going on in the news, that there was more stuff coming out about the Epstein stuff.
The watermark ballots.
Yeah, and people also weren't seeing what was going on in the fact that Russia is basically being accused of war crimes and just straight up murdering Ukrainians, and like hundreds of bodies of civilians being found. I mean...
More propaganda.
There's stuff that's going on, that will be going on, that is possibly being swept under the rug because you hear that a famous person overdosed or died. Right. It's very kind of star killer in the late degrees of Pisces. So the other thing I would say is, like, while these Venus, Jupiter, Neptune conjunctions are sweet, and it's extra sweet like April 26th and 27th, when we come into the eclipse, which is the one we already kind of talked about, so I won't spend too much time on it. But around the 30th, Mercury's also in shadow. So there's obviously something going on during that eclipse that is not really truly going to unfold actually until closer to mid-May, both because Mercury will retrograde back into Taurus, but it will retrograde and first have a cazimi with the sun in Gemini, and then it will actually conjunct 26 degrees. So it'll activate the eclipse from last year.
The Mercury, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how Gemini season starts. 0 degrees, cazimi, conjunct.
Yeah, so it's like there's some epiphany going on.
Okay, so the 0 degrees... So the 0 degrees that it enters is going to be pivotal. It's like a sneak peek for that cazimi, basically. That's true.
Yeah, so I think the eclipse, like, there's something brewing. And if you think Gemini is second to Taurus... There's some news, it's going to be something about media. It's going to be something about a network. It'll be something about a social network, something in regards to like a social platform. And all the retrogrades this year, the Mercury retrogrades, start in air signs and they retrograde back into earth signs, and they all trine Pluto. Damn. So it's about big world power shifts and the fact that there's political, government, banking, institution shifts. So, if you want to hear more about that eclipse, go and watch our video. But I'm very curious what you think about the Sun-Uranus conjunction at 14 degrees of Taurus.
That's personal
May the
because 14 degrees is my Venus and 15 is my Pluto. So your boy might fall in love at first sight. We never know. You never know. I'm looking forward to that. The moon is going to be...
It's on Star Wars Day, May the 4th.
May the 4th be with
Yeah,
you.
may the 4th be with all of you that day.
Yeah.
That to me screams like rocks and rolls in the market because it is in a Taurus degree at 14.
Activating the new moon cycle too.
Yeah.
So a lot of truth being manifested.
But I think it's also going to be like, it's just some of the aspects.
It's a new cycle. Oh, sextiling Mars too. You may not even be conscious of... This is like making an investment that you don't know is going to the moon. You might even facetiously have made it, and you're thinking that the other two you're looking at is going to go, but it's that one. So that's kind of an energy where you're not necessarily aware of how big what you're starting on this cycle is.
Right.
Another aspect of this too is because this is coming back around from the last time Uranus conjuncted the sun, and because this is sextiling with these cycles, this, if we think of how trans-Saturnian Uranus is and how Uranus and Neptune has to deal with channeling, intuition, psychic arts, quantum mechanics, this is going to be one of the hugest turn of the tides for that mainstream social collective narrative that has for so long made fun of this idea. Now seeing that there's so much money in it, they're going to dick ride this so much more. And people are going to overnight just become astrologers and law of attraction experts.
It's already happening now, but
they are, exactly. Yeah. But I think we're going to see this happen at the next second decan level, where it's just, more people start to see where they can gain financially, more scammers start to see. But mainly for those of you who've been walking this path, or for those of, because it doesn't apply to just spirituality. I mean, like, there are people in so many different fields who manifest this energy by just having an eccentric idea, an idea that's outside the box, that's not accepted by the mainstream. You're going to start to see this turn around. You're going to start to see the same people who antagonized you, and I won't say it like that, but that whole wave, start to really adopt to it, start to really accept it. Not like you've proved anything, but in a very subtle way, it's starting to be, and I think it's mainly because of real proof.
Well, and that's going to be building for 6 months coming off the eclipse. Remember that Uranus rules science.
Yeah, exactly.
So for us to see
astrology,
a new moon, which does deal with the public and the public's consciousness, and new epiphanies and awareness that will continue to unfold and be open for the next 6 months to a year, I wonder what's going to happen. I mean, the other day I was, something popped up that was like a news headline that was like, oh, what science has learned about like energies and vibrations in spaces and the fact that it's real, whether it's a haunting or if a violent act took place somewhere, or if a place holds energy and how it affects our bodies. And I'm like, oh, it's happening.
And I want to speak on that because we're going to be revealed. I love that you said that right now, because we're going to be revealed extra science that proves metaphysical activity, and I feel like it's been proven, but they're gonna finally reveal it to us.
Or we're gonna start to see how certain energies or certain electronics, or how there are manipulations that are going on, like frequencies and how it affects us. Like, we don't know. We're only gonna begin to start to kind of scratch the surface of, okay, we have 5G. What does that do to us? Right. Okay, we've all been sitting around cell phones and internet routers for the last 25 years. We don't know how that's going to affect us. The long-term
effects of all that.
We just know that we might start having actual mutations.
So, okay, what I love about what you just said right now is that's the Saturn return in Aquarius, because the last time Saturn was in Aquarius is where we just started doing that.
We just started getting online. So now we're coming into the
knowledge of that. And so I have two questions for you. The first question is, with Uranus and the North Node 22 degrees, first question is, who's gonna get assassinated?
Oh my God.
I'm very curious.
I mean, the fact that, the last couple of days, Mars and Saturn have been at 22 and they've been squaring the nodes, I'm surprised it has not already happened.
Exactly.
I'm more thinking, especially because losing one's head or issues neurologically or hangings or being shot, that's more algal. So when we look at the Mercury retrograde coming off the heels of that eclipse. P.S. Jupiter goes into Aries on May 11th.
Ooh.
That's going to be interesting, especially
with
when
the
Mars
degrees
shows
of the
up.
North Node too. Oh yeah. That's going to push everything forward.
But when Mercury goes retrograde, Sun's on the North Node first on May 13th, so that's about stepping into your destiny. Certainly May 13th through like the 16th or 17th, both because of that conjunction in the square to Saturn. It's intense. And then the eclipse will be on the 15th. We'll do a video about that. It'll be completely separate. Don't worry, guys. But I think when Mercury goes retrograde and it drops back into Taurus and it's conjunct Algol, I'm imagining it'll be closer to the end of May that we find out about a really prominent suicide or beheading or somebody gets shot or
kidnapped.
Yeah, and then, Mars and Jupiter are conjunct. Granted, this is Gemini season, so I went a little far.
Gemini season is about to be saucy.
But with the Mars, Jupiter sextile, the Sun, I can only say, just the phrase that comes to mind is just do it.
Yeah.
Just do it. That's
and
really
what
it's going to be.
you're doing, you don't have all the details or facts. You're just going off a hunch or just a very strong knowing, and it's going to unfold as you take action. So my next question for you is, based on the whole scientific discoveries, there's going to be, I feel like, a official wider split where you have official, discoveries by the mainstream narrative pushing forward science. Then you have individual discoveries
Uranus
that
is
contradict what's narrative in the mainstream.
Historically, when we've seen Uranus in Taurus, we have also seen that Neptune is in Pisces. It's the same cycle because it takes...
And then Uranus in Gemini and then Neptune in Aries.
So they are having a conversation with each other. And I think, just if you've studied astrology, the Uranus and Taurus periods, we weren't really on track with a lot of things in terms of science and medicine. Okay, it's fair to say. So when we look at that, an aspect to the Pisces placements, I feel like it's still the blind leading the blind. It's a lot of what media is pushing for what is healthy or
that
what
they
is...
backtrack later.
Yeah, so it's
And then there's narratives. I like that you said it because someone just shared a meme that was talking about weight has nothing to do with health. Provocative, controversial stuff like that. That's more as far as vague enough to just put the conversation, because a statement like that doesn't really say anything and it asks more questions. But
you got to go deeper into that. We've seen people, who do nothing but go on mile runs and drink juice and eat really healthy, and they die of a heart attack at 40 years old. And then you see other people
smoke
who
cigarettes
drink and smoke and eat fucking meat until they're 95 years old. I think the discussion about health in general needs to be reworked. I think the discussion about what is natural, what is beautiful, what is healthy. Taurus it does talk about not health in a Virgo way, but a healthy appetite, a healthy figure, a healthy relationship with money, with resources, with your body, with the planet. It's all up for reevaluation, basically. It all needs to change. And I think that we're going to see the beginnings of this both through the eclipses and also through some of the squares this season.
But just to note once again, the vehicle, we're deviating since last Saturn Aquarius, where up until this point, knowledge that was people did do individual research, but it's just peer-reviewed research at a mainstream collective level backed by Ivy League university research and whatnot, that the whole world just sucked its dick and just accepted. And we're seeing legitimate independent research around this period that's not from some mainstream scientists. It's just some Joe Smo that you saw on the internet that is actually innovating culture. And it's going to be revolutionary because it's different individuals. And I think it's going to cause a split between, not that you can't listen to both, but in the case where this individual discovery contradicts the mainstream science, this is where it's who do you listen to? What's biased? What's actually raw? And that's going to really change people's minds, because that individual, and I think that's what we're going to spark with this. And it doesn't have to be even attached to science, but just...
It's just going to be where the physical proof is going to trump what has been put out there.
Yeah,
and now that we can start seeing physical proof, physical changes, financial changes, health changes, the proof will literally be in the pudding in that
For
sense.
example, astrology.
Yeah.
Mainstream says astrology is bullshit. Independent astrologers like us prove that shit wrong every day. So we're ahead of society in that vein. But it's one thing to say that, even though Mars experiments have been replicated by skeptics to be proven true, it's another thing for all of that to actually be real.
Yeah.
Physically, it's going to really turn the tide. So
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying. Like, for a lot of you who've been paving the way, this is a huge reward where we're all collectively coming together and acknowledging this change and shift.
Yeah.
Which
I'm
really
excited to see what it brings. I know that the only way through it is to stay super grounded and obviously kind of take the bull by the horns. So
Yeah.
that's my advice to you. Where is all of these eclipses taking place in your chart in Taurus and also in Scorpio? We'd love to hear that.
And my advice to you is that join button down below needs to be clicked because you want to join level 3 and 2 or 1. So there you go.
Thank you guys for
You're
your
welcome.
support, whether you are a member or you are a subscriber, you're commenting, you're joining us on our lives. We appreciate it. We love you so much. Thank you for your support. We will be back bringing you, we're going to do an eclipse episode, so we'll talk about the eclipse in Scorpio. Until next time, we will see all of you guys very soon. Take care.